I'm Brittney Saunders and welcome to Big Business, the place where business is far from boring, and today I'm recording on Gadigal land. Now, I somehow managed to build an empire from the garage underneath my house, and I'm here to share it all with you, from the wins, the mistakes, the challenging times, and the funny moments in between. So whether you're in business already, perhaps you're not in the game at all, maybe you're just looking for some inspo, or you simply just want to hear the tea, this is the podcast for you. Coming up on today's episode, I am welcoming a very special guest. Today's guest is bold, spicy, and not afraid to shake things up, literally. She's the founder of Mingle Seasoning, the Aussie brand that's taken over spice racks and supermarket shelves with a mission to make cooking fun, clean, and anything but boring. What started as a side hustle quickly turned into a full-blown movement, and along the way, she's delivered cheeky viral campaigns, challenged industry norms, and tackled the mindset battles that come with building a business from the ground up. From printing barcodes wrong and personally fixing them in Coles to launching a saucy OnlyFans inspired infomercial for meat rubs. Yep, really. She's not just selling seasonings, she's rewriting the rulebook on what a food brand can be. So please welcome the powerhouse behind Mingle Seasoning. Jordyn, welcome to Big Business.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you here. You know that I've actually got quite the Mingle collection happening at home, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, I started with your
didn't know that.
everything but the bagel seasoning.
Yes, iconic.
Yeah, I remember like those bagels going viral and everyone making the bagels with all the seasoning, and it was like only in America or like at Costco that people could get them or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that was the first time that I saw your brand popping up because you'd made the everything but the bagel. So that was the first one that I bought. And then now I've got like 10.
I'm so stoked. I'll have to share that when I go back to the office because we all fangirl you, Britt.
Oh.
But to know that you're using Mingle, that's made my day.
And I'm an unofficial ambassador too. Like I was downstairs before waiting for Xander to come and get me from the lift, and I was talking to these two guys, and then they were asking me what I'm doing today, and I said I was interviewing you, and so I did a big pitch about your business to them. They're like, "We'll have to check it out." I'm like, "Yeah, do it. It's like way better for you. It has no sugar." Like I'm doing the full pitch about the seasonings. So welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Being being a fan of the brand, and I saw you speak. Was it last year or the year before?
I think it was about 2 years ago.
Yeah. So I'm glad to have you in the hot seat. So let's take it back, especially for those that aren't familiar with Mingle. Mm-hmm. How did it come to be, and was it a light bulb moment for you, or was it more of a slow burn? Talk us through how it came to be.
Well, it definitely was a light bulb moment. I was 4 years into my marketing role at a natural drinks company called Cappy.
Yeah.
My dad was a small business owner, so he was a plumber, so was my grandpa. So small business was kind of in my blood, and I knew one day I wanted to own my own business. I just needed an idea. Mm-hmm. I think working in drinks and natural drinks, I started to see consumers and myself be more conscious of what's in food and drinks. Mm-hmm. And at the age I was 25, I was trying to be a bit organised and healthy. So on Sunday afternoons, I'd meal prep my meals, have my chicken out, my veggies out. And I loved a seasoning because the spices were all blended together.
Yep.
So you could just simply shake it on your protein, your veg, you were good to go. And your meal tasted great. And then this one Sunday I was cleaning out my pantry, and I'd, like what I said, started to become more conscious, looking at what's actually in these products that I'd grown up with.
Yep.
And I think when you become a young adult, that's when you start challenging some of the views that maybe your mum or your dad have kind of imparted on you. So yeah, it was this one Sunday afternoon, grabbed my Moroccan seasoning, looked at the back and was like, oh, first ingredient, sugar.
And you just never think that, would you? Like when you've got a little jar with seasoning in it, you just think it would be herbs and like just all the basics.
Just spices and a little bit of salt. Yeah. And then, there was a range of different cheap fillers like flours, artificial ingredients, preservatives. And so it was at that point, that's when the first light bulb went off.
Yep.
Went down to the supermarket to try and find a brand that, didn't have those ingredients.
Yep.
And it was more from the place of like, are these ingredients necessary in a spice blend? Like, I definitely don't want to be like, no sugar.
Yeah.
Like, I do believe in a balanced diet, but I had that kind of challenging view towards what was out there, and I thought maybe there could be a better way of creating spice blends. And really it takes, like yourself, it takes someone to challenge an industry for there to be a new benchmark or paradigm out there.
And because you wouldn't just, you'd never really think about seasonings otherwise. I feel like it's a really surprising industry to even go into. And I think one thing that a lot of people get stuck on when it comes to wanting to start a business, maybe they were like you and you knew that you were going to do something of your own one day. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be... it can be something completely out of the box, like you, for example, going into the world of seasonings. Mm-hmm. Did you ever think that that's where you would end up, or it was just that light bulb moment when you've gone, oh my goodness, these seasonings have so much stuff in it. Maybe this is what I'm destined to do.
Mm-hmm. It was as simple as that. People even say, but it's such a simple idea.
Yeah.
And it actually can just be that. As a consumer, when I was standing at that herbs and spice aisle and I was looking at those old, daggy, heritage-based brands as a young consumer myself, it didn't connect with me.
No.
And so it was time for innovation.
Yep.
And all it takes is one person to have a new view, to have a different take, for you to kind of shake things up. And that's as simple as my...
Pun intended.
Yeah.
shaking up your spices. Was there any moment throughout, I guess, those early startup days when you were getting into it where you thought, what am I doing? Did you have any moments, or were you pretty confident the whole way through?
No, honestly, still to this day, I have those moments.
Yeah.
I was thinking about some advice that I could give to your community, and I was lucky enough to be part of some accelerator programs that really provided a community of, entrepreneurs or people starting their businesses at a similar time.
Yep.
And further to that, there were also some funds available. So that really helped at the start to kind of be around other like-minded business owners, learn from them, ask questions like, hey, what manufacturer do you use?
How did you get onto that? How would other people find that?
So a lot of universities have accelerator programs.
Okay.
And then I was also lucky, a food company called Chobani Yogurt. They also had an incubator program for 5 food startups at the time for a 6-month cohort. So there are also private businesses in the kind of FMCG supermarket space that also sometimes provide those programs for young founders.
I think that would be really good, because mixed with the feelings of I don't really have any ideas, or I have an idea and I don't think it's very good. And then also just being in those early startup days, everyone feels absolutely clueless. People always say, what was your plan with fate? And when you start, you don't really have any of those big plans, and that's okay to not have huge goals and dreams and aspirations. But I think if people can find themselves within a community where they're surrounded by other people who are doing the same thing, that's going to make you feel a lot more confident with all of those early decisions that you have to make when you're starting something out.
For sure. It validated my fears, my doubts, but it also pushed me to kind of lean into things as I was seeing other founders do so too.
Do you always use the term shake up? Because I feel like it just goes so well with seasonings.
There are a few food puns that I definitely use.
Because I was going to say, you've shaken up the world with your marketing campaigns. First of all, I think from my perspective and what you were mentioning earlier, when you do walk into a supermarket and you go to the spice aisle, it does all look very much the same. And I feel like when I opened my pantry when I was a kid, I would see the same thing that I see, on the shelves today. So I think one awesome thing that you've done with Mingle is obviously just the branding. It's fun, it's colourful, it's modern, it stands out on the shelf amongst all the old glass jars and everything. I'm going to talk about one of your most recent and iconic campaigns that I'm absolutely going to say wrong. And Xander said, just say it wrong. So is it Por qué no los Mingle? Tell us about that.
We launched some Mexican products in the Mexican aisle in Coles, and we kind of came together and we were like, how can we launch this with a bang and really shake things up, disrupt?
I'm going to keep saying that this whole episode too, shake things up.
We partnered with a creative director. His name's Michael Beveridge. He was on Big Brother.
I know Michael Beveridge.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah, he was also the previous creative director for Koala.
Yeah.
And he had previously worked with the old Old El Paso ambassador, Mia, who was part of this kind of iconic campaign in the 90s, ¿Por qué no los dos? Like, can you have a soft taco, a hard taco? Why not have both?
Yep.
And Michael knew Mia. And so we were jamming and he was like, what if you could hire Mia for this campaign? And the whole theme would be out with the old, in with the new.
Oh my God. So like even saying out with the old El Paso.
Yeah.
Were you worried like stepping into that territory?
We were worried. We did get lawyers to kind of review our scripts, all of our creative.
Yep.
But we were also like, this is the moment to kind of really be bold.
Mm-hmm.
If we say we're this challenger brand, like actually embody it and do it.
Yep.
And so, you know, the first step was actually enrolling Mia, who, you know, she at that time I think was about 22.
Mm-hmm.
She hadn't worked with Old El Paso for many years.
And is she the young girl that was in the ads?
Yes.
That was like, why not have both?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I think she was about 4 or 5 at that age.
Yeah.
And hasn't really been in the public limelight for a long time. Like literally, she just works at JD as a merchandiser. Like she just has a normal life.
Yeah.
So yeah, we hopped on a phone call, like shared the vision, and she was willing to take the risk. And she also said, like, you know, I've grown older. My choices, similar to what I was sharing before, like my choices for healthy food and like what I'm choosing now as an adult has changed, and I'm willing to take this risk. Wow. So yeah, we filmed a TVC, a social media campaign, and we also landed all this TV coverage without paying for it. Mia was on Channel 9, I was on Channel 7 with her, and it just like really set a tone for Mingle's not just this small startup brand. Like we're ready to compete with the big guys.
We're challenging the big dogs.
Yeah.
That's epic. Did she have any, she obviously did that other ad when she was so young. I wonder, like, she obviously wasn't in any sort of like contract with them. So
well, yeah, we made sure that definitely there was no risk.
You're in a lifelong contract for being the old El Paso little girl in the ad. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's what marketing is all about, especially in 2025. You know, if you want to get your brand out there, it's just about like thinking outside of the box and doing something different and doing something that is going to make people talk. Mm-hmm. And I think especially you doing that, it would have also tied into like the nostalgia of those old TV ads. Mm-hmm. And I feel as if though nostalgic marketing is becoming more and more popular, especially amongst like millennials. Like we love anything that reminds us of when we were kids. So that was an absolute genius one on your behalf.
Thank you. I will say that I feel like your Bunnings stunt at Coachella is a similar tone. It's like these brands or people out in the world, they've built like, you know, thousands of eyeballs, spent thousands of dollars on brand, and it was just so genius of like the emotional connection that they've already spent on Bunnings, and you kind of hijacked a moment and connected it back to something that has like a really dear place in a lot of people's hearts.
And what's funny with that, and much like your campaign, is you were planning that thing and you knew that it was going to be a success. And not that my Bunnings Coachella thing like had anything to do with Bunnings. Like it was just us being idiots. But I remember me planning that, and I said to my partner, AJ, we're going to be on the news. This is going to have articles written about it. Like you just know when you're going to be doing something epic that it's going to happen. And then we were over there. We did it. Boom. We're on Sunrise the next morning. We're in the newspaper, Daily Mail articles. I said, told ya. So
it was iconic.
Yeah. You just know when you're doing something iconic. And I'm sure you would have felt the same way. So let's talk about another iconic campaign that you have just released for your new meat rub range. And you've collaborated with an OnlyFans creator to promote this.
Correct.
Again, where has this idea come from? How did it come about? And how it's just released, right? So how has it been?
The response has been very positive. Like it was a huge risk to not only work with an OnlyFans creator and kind of as a, you know, a mainstream food brand embrace that. But second to that, I think the OnlyFans creator's name also is rather risky, his name being the Girth Master.
Was it with the Girth Master?
Yeah.
Wow. So how did this all come to be? And were you the one that come up with like the grand idea?
I wish I could take that glory, but it was also Michael Beveridge again.
Again. I think I'm going to have to hire Michael
Yeah.
Beveridge. He seems like he's got the best ideas in the world.
He has some great ideas. So yeah, basically the job to be done was how can we get people talking about our meat rubs in a playful, funny way.
Yep.
And then, yeah, Michael was like, I know someone. You're going to have to take a risk. But I guess ultimately as well, we're trying to get as many new young customers into supermarkets. Mm-hmm. And Girthmaster has quite the following.
Quite the following. Oh, I love it. Talk us through like what this whole campaign and infomercial looks like. It's obviously featuring Girthmaster, who is he essentially now like the face of your meat rubs?
His official title is Chief Satisfaction Officer of
Nice.
Mingle Seasoning. Yes.
And so the campaign is called DTF.
Yes.
Which is also hilarious.
Down to flavour.
I love it.
Yeah. But I guess once we had a chat with the Girthmaster and he was enrolled,
Yep.
we then tried to navigate what format do we want to kind of share this brand message on.
Yeah, because you don't really want him just jumping on his story being like, try this meat rub. Like you need to like play into it more and make it even more like him.
Correct. And we were like, we also think we need some legitimacy of trying to like get this on TV. Mm-hmm. So Michael was like, infomercials are really outdated, similar to spices. Why can't you be memorable, bold, and like what Mingle is in the spice aisle? Why can't you be that on an infomercial? Mm-hmm. The challenge was, how can we get Channel 7 or Channel 9 enrolled in this idea? Mm. He had previously done another koala infomercial that was a bit risky. And so he had a relationship with the Channel 9 team. Mm-hmm. And we pitched the idea. It was all PG in terms of scripting.
Yep.
But there were cheeky innuendos that if you know, you know.
Right.
And if you don't, you would just be watching an infomercial that's talking about delicious seasonings and meat rubs.
That's so clever, isn't it? And I love the DTF.
Yeah.
Straight away, we all like say, down to fuck. Yeah. But it's down to flavour. I love it.
Yeah. And I have a box for you as well of like a PR package, and it's got the Girthmaster has recorded a message as well.
In the PR package.
Yeah.
Can we listen to it now?
Oh, let me see.
So we've got a little button in the PR box and it says get saucy, and let's see what it says. I'll play it into the mic.
You pressed it, which means you're officially DTF. That's right, down to flavour. I'm Girthmaster, Mingle's Chief Satisfaction Officer, here to deliver 8 new flavour bombs. From a fiery peri-peri chicken to a Tuscan chicken so good that it's sparked a few kitchen proposals. Things are about to get real saucy.
This is hilarious. Like, this is genius. Is there more?
No, that's it.
The one.
Yeah.
The one. Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
And you've got a box of everything here. There he is with the apron on.
Yeah.
That's
and
just
some product for you.
So clever.
Yeah.
Like, just thinking outside of the box, like when making something like meat rubs. Like, this is just such a great, genius idea.
Yeah, we're pretty stoked by it, and we were so happy that Channel 9 kind of embraced the challenge. Mm-hmm. We had a bit of a curveball, though, with the infomercial filming. So we filmed it once, and then Channel 9 lost the footage. And Girthmaster was leaving for America in a week.
Oh, no.
And Channel 9, like the producer was so apologetic.
What, they lost the memory card? The SD card?
It transferred to a server and the IT team deleted it. And so
after you'd done the whole shoot day?
Yes.
That is my biggest nightmare. Yeah. I've always wondered, like, imagine losing the SD card or files going corrupt, especially if you've done something massive with an OnlyFans creator and paid.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
And then we'd paid for Michael to be there. We'd paid for the team to come up.
Yeah.
And I also could hear the fear in that the Channel 9 producer's voice. And
then did this also, like at this time after you'd filmed it, were you like fully confident in what you'd done, or were you still feeling like, oh my goodness, like we're working with an OnlyFans creator? Like, did you have any hesitancy around it by this point?
No, we were confident, and we
Yeah.
also that day got a really good cut. So, like when you do an assignment or you do something and then you lose it, it's like there's nothing worse than like trying to recreate something that was
to have to do it again. But then
Yeah.
in the back of my mind, I'd be going, is this the universe telling me I shouldn't be doing this bold idea? Like, am I getting signals? Is that why the footage has gotten lost? Because the universe is saying this is too risque.
Look, I actually did have that, but more from like, or maybe for the channel it was too risky and maybe there's some internal. But my conspiracy theory was wrong because Channel 9 funded us to fly back up.
Oh,
and we were
wow.
so lucky that the Girthmaster was available within that week. He was like so busy, but he made it work and we refilmed it again.
Wow. And you got just the good results again?
It
Even though
was almost
like,
because he'd done the script more and more and more that he
Okay.
was even better that day. So
phew, thank goodness for that. Imagine if he'd just gone overseas and then you just like, there goes your whole campaign.
that was the. I'm not going to swear on this podcast, but that
I swear on here all the time. So
it was definitely a like, what the fuck are we going to do kind of moment, and we'd spent like a lot of money.
Yeah. Wow.
We were lucky that it eventually paid off. And I guess what was important was we tested it with some customers just to make sure that the sentiment was. It was like we hit the sweet spot of humour, cheekiness, and those customers were like, I love the idea.
How did you
Like,
test it with them? Did you let them know the idea or?
We did. We like picked up the phone and we
Oh,
were
wow.
like, these are the kind of archetype of customers that we were like, oh, is this going to land with this specific archetype? And
So
we
you called your customers to say, hey, I want to do this for a campaign.
yeah, and they thought it was funny.
Okay.
And so I think that gave us more confidence of like, okay, let's back ourselves. This is cheeky. It's humorous. They're in on the joke. And so, yeah, we just kind of pushed through.
I love it. Use your community for feedback. Community is everything.
Yeah.
So steering away from the meat rubs.
Let's bit of a detour.
Yeah, let's just go in a complete opposite direction, talk about mindset in business. I think all founders know how much of business is just straight up mindset. And you've mentioned that you feel as if though all founders should have like a coach or a therapist to get them through their business journey. Talk to us more about that.
I definitely think founders need to be clear on what works for them, but I have, throughout, I guess, my whole journey, invested quite a bit into therapy and coaching, more to see my blind spots. And I think a small business is like a pressure cooker where at moments you are tested and sometimes you're the worst of yourself and sometimes you're the best of yourself. Part of the reason why I started Mingle was really driven by my wounds and that middle child that kind of wanted to be like, Mum, and to my older sister, see guys, I can do it. Watch me.
Yeah.
And that stubbornness and conviction was unhealthy and led to me burning out. And I think throughout the 9-year journey, I've kind of gotten to a place where it's not driven by that external validation as much these days. It's really driven by purpose and my intrinsic desires rather than extrinsic.
I think I need to go to therapy. I always say that on this podcast, don't I, Xander? And then I'm like, this podcast is my therapy. But I can really relate to that as well because I think, and maybe for a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, we start the things that we do maybe trying to prove a point to people who have told us otherwise throughout our life. And I know for a fact that's me. And like I think my parents like never supporting me in my life and not being a part of my life is my reason why I started Fade. Even though you don't go, I'm going to go out and do this. I think it's like an underlying reason. So I can really resonate with that. And if there's anything I've learned in business, and I'm sure you're the same and all other founders, is business will make you look at yourself in ways that you never could have imagined. Like it's a massive like self-reflection journey, even just like in the smallest little moments that you have in your day with like your staff, and then you go home and then you like rethink how you were in that, and then you become so aware of how other people will perceive you as well. So I can understand how like having an external third-party person to talk to about this kind of stuff would be super beneficial.
I think on the flip side, the reason and like your amazing strengths is like attributed to the things that you've gone through.
100%.
So I think I've also gone on this full circle moment of being like, I had a point to prove, but certain things of the way I was brought up, actually now I'm like, oh, they're the things that I actually like about myself. And rather than having maybe resentment or anger towards those chapters and moments, I'm like, oh, I'm actually grateful because that's made me the human being that I am today.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Have there been any light bulb moments for you, like going to therapy, that have like just stood out to you and really helped you in your business journey? Or just any moments where you're like, oh my gosh, they're so right and I'm going to stop doing that or I'm going to start doing that?
So I think that point that you said about point to prove, I think at the start of my business journey, there is a time where you do have to wear all the hats.
Yes.
But there is a transition point where you have to kind of let go of certain functions and hire a specialist. And it was through therapy that I recognized that my ego was kind of, and my desire to control was trying to cling on to, especially operations, which I am not good at. And I was trying to cling on to that still out of control and lack of trust. And what I realized is that actually was hurting my business and it was hurting me. And through recognizing that I needed to learn how to trust and let go, I now have an incredible supply chain manager in the function that has added so much more value to my business than I would ever have.
Rather than you being like, I'll do it. Like,
Correct.
but I'm the same. Like, I'll go, I'll just do it because, like, you know that you can do it and it'll take 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But we don't have to be doing all the things.
Yeah.
But that's hard when you first start out and you're doing customer service, dispatch, design, everything, to then let go of that and trust other people.
Yeah.
Like, I remember feeling that in my early days as well. But you just have to do it sometimes to move forward.
Yeah, correct. Or exactly what you said, like in the day, I might not have time to like delegate or teach someone and I'd like live into that for years.
Yeah,
it's
all right,
like
I'll do it. It'll take me 2 seconds.
Correct.
Like, I'm the same. I'm like, and it's not like to do it to be malice or anything, but it's just like, I'll do it. But you need to like let go of that and let the other people do their things.
Yeah.
Because they might be actually better than you.
Yeah.
And that's a hard like pill to swallow as well as a business owner, is like getting to that point where you are going to be hiring people who are better at things than you. Because like founders' mindset is I can do everything and I can do it great, but actually you can't. And there's people that are better than you at certain things.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
It's totally okay. And I think sometimes like your business is better for it. And if you're like, that's the mission is
that's
actually
fine. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. I do have one question on that topic before we go to a completely different one. What is a part of your job that people would be surprised to hear that you still do yourself? Are there any tasks that you do where people go, oh my gosh, do you still do that?
I still schedule and post on Instagram and TikTok.
Do you?
But we recently hired another content creator to join our team.
Nice.
We had one other content creator who's kind of moved to the paid meta function of the business. Yeah, I was I was back on the tools for about 8 weeks, still posting, scheduling.
And it's fun. Like that's the other thing too that's really hard with giving up tasks in your business, especially if you enjoy it.
I don't know if I enjoy scheduling, but I do enjoy, like what you said before, I enjoy connecting with our community and being like seeing the comments and replying to them and feeling like even with this risky campaign, the moment like I've been on my phone and felt connected to it is the moment I'm like, oh, we're good. Like the sentiment's really like this is an awesome campaign. Where if I would completely detach myself, specifically, I guess, from a vehicle that is like keeps me connected to our community and customers, I'd feel a little bit too removed.
And I think that's a hard thing as well that I can relate to is when you're building a business, especially one that you've started yourself from the very beginning and you've grown it to become quite big. I always have fears around the business becoming so big that it's beyond me and like losing that connection and like not control. But, you know, I do have fears around that. And so I think that's a really important thing as well for us founders is to, delegate and let go and have other people focus on certain areas. But I'd hate for it to ever get to the point where you turn around and you look back at your company, you're like, oh my goodness, like I don't know anything that's going on. So it's like all about finding that perfect balance of being super involved, but not too far away and not too close. all at the same time, you know? Like, I don't want to be micromanaging everyone.
Yeah.
But I also don't want people to think I don't give a shit and then I'm just off doing my own thing.
Yeah. And also for your customers to feel that message that they receive, whether it actually is you or April or whoever, that kind of Brittney Saunders spirit is in that message.
Yes.
I think that's what's important as well with my business is like it started with social media.
Yes.
And people feel invested in the journey and you like there is an element of, warmth, sincerity, authenticity that I want on our social media platforms. And right now I'm learning to delegate, but I'm still involved in the trenches with social media day in, day out.
We're going to be in the comments forever.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap up with our 50th topic of this episode. Do you have any business blunders that you can share with us? Because whilst business is all fun and games and massive achievements and the highlights that we share on social media, we all make mistakes all the time. I make mistakes every week and learn better for the next time. So are there any standout moments for you throughout your journey where you've thought, oh my God, I've really fucked up? And how did you fix it?
There are many. What came to mind was, so I started my business as an e-commerce store because I didn't have a lot of money and I was like, I need to build a community outside of the supermarket.
Yep.
And when I'm ready, eventually I can take that community and say to the supermarkets, hey, I've got this community. I want to bring them to the supermarket.
Yep.
So started with e-commerce, transitioned to health food stores, and then I finally landed 5 Coles and 5 Woolworths stores. Now, when you get into supermarkets, there are so many different instruction manuals, and it's very for a startup founder, it's very confronting to read all those manuals. And one thing you need on your product, which I don't know if you have barcodes. Yes.
We didn't have those for years. And let me tell you, we sent out so many wrong items to hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds. Barcodes are really helpful, everyone. Just a FYI. Put barcodes on your product.
Yeah.
But we all start with none and then we learn at some point, oh shit, I should probably have barcodes.
Yeah. And you need the barcodes at the right size, at the right quality. And when I landed these 5 Woolworths and Coles stores, I was delivering them in my spice van. Every weekend I'd hop in and I'd deliver them to the stores. But these stores, I stuffed up the barcodes and they were too small, so they weren't scanning.
Oh, no.
And if they don't scan, then you're not getting the sales, and then the buyers obviously are like, your products aren't selling.
Yes.
So we picked it up very quickly, but then I didn't want to tell the buyer because also then I was like, oh, then I'm not going to, I'm going to get in trouble and then maybe I'll get delisted, and you only get really 1 or 2 chances with Coles and Woolworths.
Yep.
So I hopped in my van and I drove around to all the stores and very subtly, in the aisles, stuck new barcodes.
You just quietly in the aisle just sticking on
over the product.
Oh my goodness.
And now, if that had happened, Mingle now is stocked in 1,000 Coles and Woolworths stores.
Yep.
That would have been a full product recall.
Yes.
And I would have been done. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stock. But it was lucky that I could hop in my van for these specific 5 stores. And so my last little bit of advice for founders is it's one thing to want to jump to a supermarket or a big retailer and have that dream. But I'm a big believer of start small and work your way up.
Yes.
And get your operations ready for growth, because I wasn't ready for 1,000 stores, but I had the grace to hop in my van and go around and fix that. And once I'd read all my manuals properly, I was then ready to kind of progress the 1,000 stores. But yeah, in those early days, there were so many of those mistakes.
Make sure your barcodes are the right size. But you would have just been excited and you would have just been like, here you go, here's my spices, not even reading the manual, and the barcode need to be a certain size.
It was always, there was always am I going to take a shortcut with reading this manual?
Yeah.
ChatGPT would have been very helpful in those early days.
Can you read this for me and give me the key points to what I need to know?
Yeah.
And how big does a barcode need to be, please?
Yeah.
So we recently launched our lip oil sub-brand of Fate.
Yeah.
And we'd never done beauty before. And so we were so focused on getting the box right and all the text, because we've never done like a product in a box.
Yeah.
Like we just have our clothes and
Yeah.
they come in a bag.
Yeah.
So we were so worried about all the text on the back and all the spelling being correct and the colours being perfect and matching the tube. And so we went back and forth with that for like the year of trying to get the packaging right. And then we finally got it right, went to bulk production, blah, blah, blah. We got all the packaging made overseas, but then we fill in Australia and like manufacture in Australia.
Yeah.
Got the stock from our local manufacturer. Oh, we forgot to put a barcode on the box.
And so then you had to hand label
Yes.
thousands.
We hand labelled 6,000 and it took us 2 weeks, like a team of us sitting. I made some good time lapses of us doing it. But yes, 6,000 barcodes we hand stuck on. And when I'm like, why didn't it cross my mind? Like we have our barcodes on our swing tags, on our clothes and everything, but we just completely forgot that one really important step.
And you have to be kind to yourself in that moment, like exactly what you said. You're like, why would I forget that? But like,
you get so caught up in all the
Yeah.
other things, and I
Yeah.
was making sure that our PO box address was correct on the back of the box, like just worrying about all those little things that I forgot. Oh yeah, the barcode. So we sat there for 2 weeks sticking them on.
But you will never make that same mistake
Exactly.
again.
And that's
Yeah.
what business is, you know, like none of us are perfect. We are all still just figuring this out as we go. Like I'm still figuring out business as I go, even though like we're quite successful now. Like you still make mistakes all the time and learn better for next time.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing for all founders out there is even if you're looking at businesses and brands that are quite established and big and everything looks great, like we're still making mistakes every day and going, oh, never going to do that again. Well, this has been amazing chatting with you, Jordyn. I feel like every time we have founders on, I'm like, I could just sit here all day and just talk and share more stories. But we always wrap up our big business episodes with a tip of the week. It can be a personal life hack. It can be a business tip. It can be anything in between. Do you have, and I mean, you've shared a lot of tips with us today, but do you have like a specific tip of the week for us?
Oh, I recently did this on ChatGPT. And I was blown away. Like I advised people to get a therapist, but I was like, oh my God, maybe my therapist will be redundant soon, because I asked this question and I would highly recommend your audience to do the same. If they're using ChatGPT quite often, you know me quite well now. What are my top 5 blind spots?
Ooh.
And I asked that question and I've never felt more seen. And then I was just like, based on what I'm inputting into that machine.
Yeah, what are you getting back?
That the 5 points were very much my blind spots.
Oh no, I'm too scared to do it because it's going to tell me.
Bonus episode.
Yeah.
Nice. ChatGPT roasting me.
Yeah, but that took years through therapy for me to recognize my blind spots. And in a simple like sentence, and in 1 minute, I was like, damn. They're
Roasted.
Roasted and on the money.
Roasted by AI. I love it. Well, Jordyn, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story with us. Thank you for the box of meat rubs. I'm definitely going to have to give them a go. And it's been amazing having you.
No, thank you for having me.
And where can everyone find you and Mingle?
Mingle Seasoning on Instagram and TikTok. Otherwise, you can find us in the herbs and spice aisle in Coles and Woolies.
And do you have a recommendation if someone's trying out your spices for the first time? Like, what are your best sellers? What's everyone? I mean, they're all best sellers.
Yeah.
But what's really, really popular?
Like the Everything Bagel seasoning is in Coles and Woolies. It's super popular. The Peri Peri, that's just dropped. That's also a banger.
Nice.
Yeah.
So check them out next time you're doing the groceries. Look for Mingle. You won't miss it.